I don't know what I just did, but Tet, this is your reading. I did a whole one yesterday. The phone was freaking out, like overheating, and I couldn't finish it. So anyway, try this again. They're shuffled already, and I will cut them. I'm not really going to do as much explanation for you because you kind of already know. All right, so what covers you? So here we're looking at, and it's interesting because this was in the reading I tried to do for you last night. But anyways, so this is really focused around a whole moving on. If you were, so winter is the suit of, it's emotional pain. We grow a lot from that and learn a lot. But really the theme here is pain and loss and how to cope with that, and breakdowns of relationships and moving on, healing ourselves, that type of thing. Anyway, so by the time we get to the 6, we have had that battle. We've suffered some wounds. We have finally made the decision to leave the battleground, which symbolizes leaving that behind us, not holding on to, like, staying energetically present in the past and clinging to grudges or resentment or even just obsessing over the situation once it has passed. So once you get to this point, then you are choosing to move on, but you're not just like, okay, this over here is where all this bad stuff happened with whatever person or situation, and then over here is where you want to go, and you're going to just start all over. You're not going to start all over completely the same. You're not going to do everything the same way you did it this time, or you're going to end up in the same place, and you know that. At the same time, you can't bring everything from there to there, nor would you want to, because you don't want to build your new situation with the bricks of one that failed, but you do want at least to carry with you enough to make sure that you make better choices this time. So what you are choosing to take with you is the valuable, what you've gained that was beautiful from whatever you went through that hurt. And no matter what it was or how bad it hurt, there were positives, and you do recognize that because you are choosing just to focus on those and take those with you and leave the rest behind. So whether that be the lessons that you've learned or the perspective that you gained or the things that you realize that you have to be grateful for, you're taking that and putting the rest behind you. I feel like the first few cards I always over explained for way too long, so sorry about that. What crosses you? Issues with your own self-image, how you see yourself, what you believe yourself to be capable of or to have to offer. This is also weird because you had this card last time too. They're in a little bit of a different order, but so what's affecting your ability to move on? And I'm not gonna just automatically assume that this is a relationship. It's sounding like it, but I'll stay neutral. But what is affecting your ability to move on is this fear that you're not good enough. This complex or illusion, really, that's what it is, that you are not capable, you don't have what it takes, that you're going to get over to here to start your new chapter, your new life, your new relationship, whatever it is, but you're just not going to measure up, and who are you to think that you could be successful over there? You should have just stayed back here where maybe you were unhappy, but at least you knew what was expected and you knew you could provide that. Over here, like, oh, what am I getting myself into? I'm not good enough. And these are all negative lies that we tell ourselves. And the message of this card is most definitely assuring you that whatever fears that your tricks your mind is playing on you, that's all that they are. This woman is looking in the mirror, and despite the fact that she's got beautiful clothing and elegant jewelry, she's very well put together, beautiful, but that doesn't matter. She can't see it. She looks in the mirror and she just sees a beggar, tattered robes. This isn't necessarily with material things, though. I mean, it can be. This can refer to having so much more than what we appreciate, not understanding how lucky we are, thinking that we're poor when really we're so blessed. But for you, especially because this is the situation that it's affecting, it's more just your overall assessment of yourself and what you're capable of, what you have to give. Don't sell yourself short, and don't rate yourself up as a failure before you've even gotten there and started. Maybe consider seeing yourself, surround yourself with people who reflect back to you the best version of yourself, who see you as better than maybe you think you are, but and start to consider that maybe that is just negative perception. At the foundation of this issue, so where this came from, is for winter. So this, again, to do with the winter, this was part of the, and this makes sense, it's a little earlier in the journey, part of the healing process. Before deciding to move on, of course, before deciding to do anything, the first thing that you had to do was take a break. You needed rest, healing. This could very literally have been actual rest, a lot of extra sleep, time to yourself, thinking, or it could just, really just symbolize just slowing down in life, not thinking about these important things, not making big decisions, not doing anything overly complex, just sort of withdrawing a little bit to allow yourself to get put back together and to heal. This isn't even the part where you're thinking about what just happened or reflecting on it or, trying to contemplate. Nah, none of that. It's just you had just recently gotten very, very hurt and pulled back so that you could nurse yourself back to health. And that is where this came from. And I believe that is probably the time during which you either gained the strength or the understanding that moving on was the only option. It was only until you got hurt so bad that it forced you to have to stop that you were able to even think about your wound and what it meant for you and your next steps. It's kind of like, if you're playing a sport and you get hurt, you keep on playing. It's only when you get hurt bad enough that you're not able physically to keep playing that you have to sit there on the bench, and then all of a sudden you start to realize how bad you're really hurt, and maybe you shouldn't be playing football, or maybe that was a bad move, or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know why I'm using sports analogies, because I'm so not sportsy, but in your recent past, as it pertains to this situation, you recently just discovered the ability for you to direct the flow of your life a little bit more. This is just the first part where, on the heels of a situation where you feel like everything's happening to you and you're at the whim of life, and it's just like, you're just like a surfer, not even a surfer, you're just like a little boat being tossed along the waves, and wherever it takes you, that's where you're going. But you're starting to understand that you're actually a sailor. This is a sailboat. It's not just like whatever. I don't know, what is it with me in these analogies today? But the point is that you actually have much more control over your direction than you previously realized, and you are starting to recently get a glimmer of that understanding about how different actions can produce different results and what choices led you to where you were. And that empowers you, because then the choice is up to you. What choices are you going to make? Where do you want to go? What do I need to do to get there? And that may have been also part of, yes, you had this rest and everything, and then you were like, hey, if I do something different, I might get a different result. Okay, and deciding to move on then. In your near future, we're looking at a beginning. Aces are always beginnings, as you know. It is winter, and we do have a winter theme here. So this could be, definitely a period of growth for you. You are clearly strong enough, or life would not hand you these challenges or put you through these things. Some lessons we can only learn through painful experiences. Some compassion can only be developed by experiencing what that person went through, or seeing another perspective, or sometimes there's just, it's like if you want to build muscles, you have to lift the weights, and it's going to hurt because it's going to be heavy, but it's resistance that produces growth and strength. And so don't look at these challenges as punishment from the universe, because that's not what it is. It's just your daily reps, and that's how you're going to get strong. I say that because in your near future, you might start a new journey, a new path, which centers on those themes of communication, intellect, but it's all very non-emotional, and it can have to do with interpersonal relationships to a degree of how people hurt, betray, and otherwise deceive each other. So you might, in your near future, be starting to begin, say, negotiations with somebody, or opening communication back up with somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, somebody who has hurt you. So you might be nervous, but at the same time, you could be hopeful. Anything is possible. But you're staying guarded because of the fact that this is either a person or a situation that associates you with the pain that you just very recently and freshly felt, and having decided to move on from that, you're going to approach this a bit differently because again, how your choices will affect what happens, and the impact of certain things as far as what you just recently went through and what things can cause that. So you may go into this a bit more guarded, but the point is that you are willing to try again, as far as to people or to relationship or to communicate or whatever it is. And nothing is decided. There's no path carved out for you. It's not just one way. There's not just one way to interact with people or to date or to family or whatever it is, And so you're realizing that. You're like, hey, just because I have had bad experiences with whatever the situation, I'm going to try a different tack. I can still do this. I'm not doomed. I can have success in this area. But I already have identified a few things that definitely didn't work for me. So just keeping an open mind and seeing where the journey takes you. But use the knowledge that you have brought with you in your boat and all the wisdom that you just gained to make sure that when you start down this path, you don't take the familiar turns and end up on the familiar battleground and having to heal again. All right, so what crowns you? The best thing you have going for you in this situation is the Queen of Winter. Again, this is a woman. Well, in this case, I do believe, this definitely does symbolize you, and it doesn't mean that you're a woman. This is saying the best thing that you have going for you is this energy that you possess. She is able, some may call this a handicap or a detriment or a defense mechanism. But me being a Gemini and being able to relate, I don't see anything wrong with it. But she's very independent. She depends on no one because the last person she depended on hurt her, let her down. She trusts no one because the last person she trusted betrayed her. So she's going to do this all by herself. Also, she doesn't trust her emotions because they have only misguided her and clouded her judgment. She trusts in logic. She trusts in facts. She trusts in what she can see and experience, and those emotions are not trustworthy. And she is not making any more decisions based on how she feels unless she has concrete evidence and proof to back up that decision. Otherwise, it has no place in where she takes her life. So the best thing that you have going for you is that you're not letting these recent blows affect the way you live your life or to impact your decisions as it pertains to things that have nothing to do with it. You are wise enough to recognize that it doesn't have to affect your life any other way. And that, like say, for example, you're not going to let, say if it's a breakup, you're not going to let a breakup affect your work performance. You're smart enough to know the two are not related. And, again, the benefit to this is that you are independent and able to be self-sufficient and not depend on anybody to get where you want to go. And that's awesome. Very liberating. I feel the same. That's where I am too. You, in this situation, the Empress. So a lot of feminine energy here for you. And that's not necessarily, it's not at all saying like that you're less masculine. Feminine energy is just more receptive. Instead of a go out and get it energy, it's more of a go with the flow and see what happens kind of energy. It comes to you instead of you going to it. And that's indicated here with this feminine energy also. Just taking things as they come and responding to the energy as it flows to you. And the Empress in particular is the nurturer. So she is with the feminine, but also with the giving. Like the King of Pentacles is a little more like gruff, I guess. He's not unemotional, but he's just more business. Where, with the feminine, it's not just that she wants to take care of you materially and feed you and nurture you and cuddle you or whatever. It's also that she has this warmth and she herself derives happiness and joy and pleasure from taking care of people that she loves. And there's some of that missing with the male representation, which is why I think that you got this. It's to say that you are taking care of others, not necessarily like providing for their every financial need, but you're showing love for them by making sure that they're taken care of as much as you can, even if that's just to make sure that they made it home okay and ask if they've eaten, give them a jacket to wear if they're cold. Just those simple little things, looking after people's well-being.